Hey, how you doing today? And good evening to ya. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope you were able to enjoy the weather. I know the Minnesota weather was phenomenal. So that was super cool. A lot of activity to be had. I hope you and your family were safe, healthy, and happy. And so let's get into it. Excuse me. Talking about podcasts tonight. My name's Ryan J. The title is How to Start a Podcast. So, let's get into it. So, I'm going to start off by telling you a story about, why I decided to start a podcast in the first place. So, I've been pretty active in doing a lot of social media things. I've done a bunch of Facebook Lives. I'm now running a YouTube channel, and I'm just out there in social media. So my story was, the next avenue to go would be a podcast. And honestly, I've been kicking this over for probably about a year now, about starting a podcast. And my experience with podcasts, if you don't know, podcasts are a digital format that you can listen to stories, you can listen to expertise on just about any niche. You can listen automotive, gardening, tech, you name it, there's a podcast for it. So it's a format it's kind of like radio, but it's kind of like radio, but it's not really regulated by any kind of governing body or something like that. So like your own voice can truly be heard. That's what a podcast is. So starting one, I was like, oh man, I'm going to start a podcast. But then I know, my favorite podcaster is Joe Rogan. Okay, so I'm looking at his setup, and he's got mics and booms, and he's got guests coming in and TVs. Some of the podcasts are really they're produced heavy. And so that's where my worries came in. I was like, well, if I'm going to start a podcast, do I need a special room? Do I need to get a studio? Do I need to get microphones, computers? I see all these crazy setups, and that gets me thinking, and it really gets me overthinking as to what a podcast is. So I kind of psyched myself out of it for a while because I was putting too much thought into it. Oh man, I'm going to have this production value. I'm going to have lights, and that's a video blog type deal. Podcast, you don't have to show your face. It's just your spoken word. If you have guests, that's cool. There's a bunch of different formats or how you design and categorize your podcast. So I was still worried about it. Oh man, I'm gonna need all this equipment and soundproof a room, and just way overthinking it. So what did I do? I turned to Google, and I want to start a podcast from my phone. And lo and behold, there's an app for that. And the app is called Anchor, and that's what I use. So I will put I'll put the link down in the comments if you're actually interested in starting a podcast. It's free to use. I was able to literally set it up, I think in 20 minutes. 20 minutes and I set it up. Now, so that was my solution. Then, all right, so the podcast that I started is the Massive Life-Changing Value podcast. And I have 2 episodes out right now. Tomorrow I'll be recording my 3rd episode. I recorded an intro today. That's kind of cool. So that wasn't overly produced or anything like that. And I did all this on my phone for free. All right. So so that's talking about the app, and that's talking about the ease of use and not costing anything. If you have been kicking around the idea of a podcast and are scared to pull the trigger, all right, I totally get it, because I was nervous. I was also nervous the first time I did a Facebook Live. I literally sat in front of the go live button for probably about a half hour before I decided to go live. But you know what? I did it. And guarantee my first Facebook Live was absolutely dog crap. Guarantee. So don't worry about being good right off the bat. Matter of fact, I would give my first podcast probably about a D+. And I only get the plus is because I'm giving myself credit for actually doing it, and getting over the fear of doing it. And the same thing happened when I did a YouTube channel. I was scared, frightened to get out of my comfort zone. So I highly encourage you, if you have any kind of specific knowledge, or if you want to do it as a hobby, fantastic. Go for it. People will want to hear what you have to say. They will. People want to hear what you have to say. If you're good at arts and crafts, fantastic. You can make a podcast about that. And here's another way of thinking it, or don't overthink this, all right? You think that there are pros, super pro podcasters, and there are. Joe Rogan's a super pro podcaster. Tim Ferriss, super pro podcaster. Well, geez, they've been doing it a couple, 2-3 years, and I guarantee, and Joe Rogan's even said he started his podcast out as a hobby, just something to do as a hobby. And I guarantee his first episode is not good at all. Now, but with anything, time, practice, perseverance, getting better every single day, that's all it is. And if when it comes to your content, if you generally have an interest in it, make it something you're gonna care about. All right, so something you're gonna care about. All right, and that's it. I really highly encourage you to do it. Once you get going, and once you do it, and once you get over your fear, man, it's actually kind of fun. I've learned so much within the last, since I started this journey. I've learned so much about it. And learning, that's cool, so man, I just highly encourage you to do it. And again, the free app where you can get started with, you're not going to need special equipment. You can totally produce it, edit it, and the microphone I use is, I just use my earbuds. Literally, I use my earbuds, and that's my mic. And I've listened to my podcast, and the sound quality is there. Now, I've listened to my podcast. The guy talking might not be, you get what I'm saying. But the sound quality of just using earbuds on the app, off my phone, for free, I highly encourage you to do it. yeah, that's what I got. So tomorrow I'm releasing a new episode. All right, and it's gonna be on self-love. So I'm super excited to do that. I have to. I'm not gonna script this one. I will have notes to keep me on track. But yeah, well, that's what I got going on. And I'll put the link in the description or in the comments on the Massive Life Changing Value podcast. I'll put the link to the Acorn app. That's the free app that you're going to use to start your podcast. And there was one last thing. Oh, and this is just a side note. Some podcasts are like hours and hours and hours long. You don't have to worry about the time. Your first episode, if it's 10 minutes, I've listened to 10-minute podcasts. I've listened to 45-minute podcasts. I can't get through a whole Joe Rogan podcast. Some of them are 3 hours. Like literally, I don't have that much time. You know, they're interesting, but don't freak yourself out about how long, or, you know, put yourself into some guidelines of, oh, it has to be XYZ amount of time. Don't do that to yourself. It is yours. You're creating it so you can do what you want. And again, I highly encourage you to do it, because once you get over the fear, it's actually really, really fun. All right, that's what I got. If you have questions for me on this, of course, you can jump into my DM or put them down in the comments, and I'll help out where I can, because that's what I like to do. Like if I'm speaking on this and I'm telling you, or I'm suggesting that you should do this, well, I kind of feel obligated to help you, so I will. All right, with that being said, Ryan J, making an epic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.